Hey everyone, I'm Armor Gaming, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Monster Analysis. Up for analysis today is Keithor. Keithor is the drummer in Metalhead's band. What the heck, what about Vampira? With his forearms, he never misses a beat. When he's not playing, Keithor likes the simple things, especially drinking. He's Metalhead's best friend and the only one who can understand him. And so here we have Keithor, the newest and latest four-handed monster, the newest and latest dark legendary monster, Metalhead's best friend. And you should know that as of the time recording this video, there's a total of 44 dark legendary monsters. Plenty of competition in the dark category. And Keithor is also in the Underworld book, so there's 38 legendary monsters there, some quite powerful ones, including his best friend Metalhead. So you guys tell me, who's better? And then Keithor is also in the Evil Legion's book. And I didn't know that Metalhead's best friend is an Evil Legion monster, but hey, what the heck, this is Social Point for you. And so with that said, let's talk about the stats. Keithor has a power of 3399, which in the dark category places him in 21st place. So he's right in the middle, not a low power, not a high power, just a rather mediocre power. As for his life, however, of 35,588, this is actually the third highest life in the dark category, and it's third only to the Nemesis monster, Samael the Plague Carrier and the Fever Scatterer. And so if we take the Nemesis monsters out of the equation, Keithor has the highest life for dark legendary monsters. And I've said this many times, unfortunately, as is the case with very tanky monsters, they tend to be kind of slow. In Keithor's case, he's very slow. 3377 in the dark category, this puts him in 38th place. That's right, he's faster than only 6 other legendary dark monsters. And so in a very quick summary, Keithor has a mediocre power, an incredible life, and a rather sad speed. And as for his trait, he's immune to possession, which I think in Keithor's case this is extremely important. He has some supportive skills that he can actually give his team a 100% life shield. How crazy is that? And with the recent possession change, wouldn't you hate it if your Keithor got possessed and then he gave the team 100% life shield? So I think in Keithor's case specifically, having immunity to possession is awesome. Now of course he can still be hacked, and considering Keithor is a dark monster and glitch exists, he can still be corrupted. That's just 2 monsters, so overall I think it's fine that he has this trait. Hardening might have been better, but then 80% of the time he'd still get possessed, so I don't know, I think immunity to possession actually works for him. And so now let's discuss the skills. The ultimate attack is jamming on the ceiling, applies full shield 100% to all allies, heals all allies by 100%. And so clearly this is a supportive ultimate attack, it's a team skill. Your whole team gets 100% life shield and they heal all of their life to 100%. And so I do really like this as a supportive ultimate skill. Usually I'm not a fan of them just because, you know, they don't really do much, but I think in this case it does a lot because your monsters are resetting their life, and on top of that, they're getting double their life. So this can definitely turn the tide of games. If your monsters were on the verge of dying, guess what? You get a reset, you're fine, and you get a shield, so I think it's a solid ultimate attack. It's great. And then as far as regular skills, I think the only skill worth talking about in skills group 1 is the Pretender. Heals itself by a 20%, applies taunt to itself, requires cooldown. This skill costs 21 stamina, has a 2-turn cooldown. You heal by 20%, which isn't that significant, but the significant thing here is the taunt. Because Keithor is tanky, because he can take a lot of hits, you kind of want this skill. You want single attacks to be attracted to you because you can take them. And on top of that, the cooldown is pretty low. A 2-turn cooldown is nothing, and Keithor actually has a self skill, so that can make this cooldown a 1-turn cooldown, and then you also heal by 20%, so you may want to consider running this skill. Later on in skills group 2 and 3, you're going to see he has some other amazing skills, and so I know a lot of us are not used to running skills from skills group 1, but you should definitely consider it. And moving on over to skills group 2, we have Drummer's Purge. Heals all allies by 30%, removes all negative status effects from all allies, requires cooldown, 26 stamina cost, 1-turn cooldown. You remove negative effects and you heal your whole team by 30%. I think this skill is phenomenal. It only has a 1-turn cooldown, and that's what makes it phenomenal. A team 30% heal with a 1-turn cooldown that also removes negative effects. Now keep in mind, you are immune to possession. So if the enemy dark monsters are possession monsters and they possess you, your Keithor isn't going to be possessed, and you can use Keithor to rid the negative possession from your allies. So that's one really beneficial thing you can do. And on top of that, whatever damage that your allies took, you can just recover their life. So I think Keithor is just awesome with this skill. I think this is definitely worth running. And then next up we have Hi-Hat Strike. Deals massive dark damage to an enemy. 65 damage, 28 stamina, no cooldown. And so here we have a spammable 65 damage dark based attack. A spammable 65 damage. If we assume no runes on Keithor, if we just keep him with his base power, he does this attack, this deals around 9k damage. So one way you can run Keithor is with the rainbow build, a life, a speed, and a strength. So if you give him a high level strength rune, he can be dealing almost 18k damage, up to 18k damage, so that's pretty significant. And so you definitely may want to consider running Hi-Hat Strike, especially considering that enemy monsters, they can have cooldowns activated. There's a lot more monsters having that cooldowns activated effect. So it's a really great way for your monster to still be able to deal some damage. And then the next skill he has is Bring the Roof Down. Deals moderate direct damage to one enemy, heals allies by 30%, requires cooldown. So we have yet another skill that heals all of your allies. Now this does have a 2-turn cooldown and it costs 25 stamina. But once again, if you're running a strength rune on Keithor, you may want to consider this because you still get the healing effect. But I don't know, just 30 damage. I don't know if 30 damage is that significant even with the strength rune. But at the same time, just imagine if you were to run Bring the Roof Down and Drummer's Purge. On turn 1 you heal your allies by 30%, on the next turn you heal them by 30% again, and then on the next turn you can heal them by 30% yet again. So you can keep your monsters just recovering non-stop. It's insane. And then moving on to skills group 3, we have Group Performance. Deals very heavy dark damage to one enemy, removes positive status effect from all enemies, requires cooldown. And so Group Performance deals 60 dark base damage, it costs 32 stamina, has a 1-turn cooldown, and it removes good effects. And even though it has a 1-turn cooldown, because it removes good effects from all of the enemy monsters, not just one enemy monster, that's a very valid reason as to why someone should run Group Performance, maybe even over Hi-Hat Strike. Sure, it's 5 less damage, sure it has a 1-turn cooldown, but removing good effects, you know how beneficial that is? Especially because there are so many great positive buffs in the game that you do want to remove. Say the enemy monsters have double damage, say they have a shield on, say they have increased accuracy, say they have life regeneration, stamina regeneration. Group Performance would completely get rid of that. And so as you can see, it's becoming rather difficult to decide what is the best skill set for Keithor. Next up we have Eternal Solo, heals by 50%, gives 1 extra turn to itself, requires cooldown. 18 stamina cost, that's rather low, 3-turn cooldown, but you heal by 50% and you get an extra turn, an immediate extra turn. What the heck, I love this skill so much. So you already have a high life. If you give him a life rune, if you give him a level 10 life rune, if you could afford that, wow, he's just recovering so much. He can heal so much, especially with Drummer's Purge, Eternal Solo. Even if you run the taunt skill, that's an extra 20%. Like, I imagine it is pretty hard to kill this monster. But yeah, you get an extra turn, which essentially reduces the cooldown on your other skills by 1. So far so good, everything is looking solid. As for the last skill, the skill I'm raving about, it Smells Like Protection, applies 100% shield to all allies, requires cooldown. And look at this, it has a 10 stamina cost. That is so funny, like why even a 10 stamina cost? But yeah, it has a 4-turn cooldown and your whole team gets 100% shield. So just, it's incredible. What I love about this monster is like even if your allies took damage, you could always heal them. But another thing you can do is just apply that shield so they don't take any more hits, any more damage. And then while they have the shield on, you can recover their life. That way, by the time their shield wears off, they're already back to full life, and then it's pretty much like your monster never ever got hit. So Keithor, what are we going to do with you? What kind of skills should we run for you? What kind of runes should we run on you? That is very difficult. And so the only thing I know for sure is that Smells Like Protection is a must-have skill, regardless of how you run Keithor. Whether you give him a life rune, whether you give him speed runes, a team speed, a strength, Smells Like Protection, must-have skill. And I'd even say, personally, I just think Drummer's Purge is too good not to run. Also, if you give Keithor a strength rune, that doesn't matter. Run Drummer's Purge, you definitely want this skill. And then this makes things really difficult because as much as I want to run an attack that deals damage, I feel like the Pretender is also like really needed for Keithor since he's a tank, he's meant to take damage. So the Pretender, Drummer's Purge, and Smells Like Protection. And I definitely want to run Eternal Solo also. Oh my gosh, this is an analysis that's also like, what am I doing? I need your guys' help. I'm actually kind of tempted to say that if I had Keithor, I would run him with Smells Like Protection, Drummer's Purge, the Pretender, and I would even do Eternal Solo. I would give him no damage skills, but that'd be fine because he would be essentially protecting my team for the whole duration of the game. Smells Like Protection, that's 100% shield to everyone, and then Taunt, that further helps my team, and then Drummer's Purge, that's healing my team, and I think that's what I would personally do with him. I'd make him pure support, and I know that may be kind of weird because what if Keithor was the last monster alive? He'd have no way of winning. Then in that case, maybe I can see myself foregoing one of the other skills. It's just hard to know. Maybe the Pretender, maybe I could do without the Taunt since I already have the 100% shield, and maybe I could run something like Group Performance just because I think that removing good effects, that's more beneficial. And as for runes, there are so many different variations you can do. You can do the obvious 3-team speed runes just to help your deny monster and your attacker go first, and then actually if you do end up doing 3-team speed runes, I think running Taunt is useful in that case because then you're super slow, so that Taunt essentially lasts longer. And so if you do end up running 3-team speedruns on this monster, do run the Taunt skill, it'll come in handy. But if not, you can also do some variations like 2-team speed and a life. You can do a single speed, a single life, and a single team speed. Or you can do the rainbow build like I mentioned, strength, speed, and life. And if you are going to do strength, speed, and life, don't listen to my build. In that case, you definitely want to bring some firepower. You definitely are going to want Group Performance or Hi-Hat Strike so you can still deal some damage. But I don't know, this monster, I think you should really capitalize on his tankiness, on his supportive side. Sure, he has Hi-Hat Strike that can deal 65 and Group Performance that can deal 60, but that's not his main selling point. Smells Like Protection, that's his main selling point. Drummer's Purge, that's his main thing. So Drummer's Purge and Smells Like Protection, that would be my two for sure skills. And then just do whatever you want, do whatever benefits your team, because everyone is different. Everyone has different playing styles. Some people like to go first, some people like to be the underdog, take on stronger opponents, in which case life runes help you survive. Everyone has a different playing style, which is why I always like to hear from all of you guys. What are you guys going to be doing with Keithor? This monster is available to pretty much everyone. So when you get this monster, what runes are you going to give him? What team are you going to put him in? And what skills are you going to give him? I am really looking forward to hearing what all of you guys have to say, because this monster, there are just so many different ways to utilize him. And so once again, just because I feel like I'm all over the place, I think as of right now, I'm going to be running Smells Like Protection, Eternal Solo, Drummer's Purge, and the Pretender. And with that said, I may not end up doing the Pretender, I may end up doing Group Performance instead, since Smells Like Protection seems like it's going to be solid enough to protect my team. And as for runes, right now I'm thinking I'm going to do a life, a team life, and a speed. Or maybe I'll do 2 team speed and a life. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a single life, you could always substitute that with a team life. Like I said, many different variations for this monster, so I'm really looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. And with that being said, that is actually going to conclude my analysis on Keithor. I've said it before that I have a bias against tanks, but I really like this monster and I am so looking forward to him, and I hope you guys are looking forward to getting him. So with that said, this concludes my analysis. Thank you all for watching. Once again, make sure to let me know your guys' thoughts on this monster, his runes, his teammates, all of that good stuff. Let me know in the comments below. Best of luck to all of you on your Monster Legends adventures, and like always, remember to dream big and pursue your passions.